Yes, welcome back to the 67 Hail Hail channel on YouTube with me, Hamish Carton. Now, the biggest story coming out of Celtic over the last couple of weeks, or couple of months to be honest, has been the rumours and then the signing of Shane Duffy. A lot of people know a bit about him due to his connections with the Irish national team. However, I did think that it'd be useful to get a bit of an expert opinion from a man that's seen Duffy for, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons or so. We've got Scott from one of the biggest Brighton pages on Twitter, We Are Brighton. Is it the biggest Brighton page on Twitter, Scott?
It is, yeah. We are the biggest. Not that I want to brag or anything.
No, that's not bad at all. And just tell us a little bit about the feeling with Brighton fans then about Shane Duffy moving to Celtic, because I realise, or I assume, that he fell out of your plans a little bit for this season, but from what I gather, he was quite a liked figure at Brighton.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, he was our player of the season in 2018-19, ahead of Lewis Dunk, actually, who obviously takes a lot of the headlines, a lot of the plaudits. But Duffy was as big a part of a team that was very successful defensively. The reason we stayed in the Premier League our first 2 seasons was because we didn't concede many goals, and that was largely Dunk and Duffy. Houghton obviously then lost his job last summer. Graham Potter came in and he's basically changed the entire way the team plays, the way we're set up. So now whereas before it was keep a clean sheet, nick a 1-0, it's now play it from the back, possession football, and that's not really Duffy's style. So the thing Shane Duffy is still good enough to play for any team in the bottom half of the Premier League, but the problem he's got is that he's at one of the few teams who probably value being able to play triangles on the edge of the box more than sticking a head in, sticking a boot in, and ultimately that's why he's gone, because he's 28. If the Republic of Ireland qualify for Euro 2020, even though it's in 2021, he needs to be playing first team football, and he won't get that with us.
Yeah, the issue we've had, just to give you a little bit of background, has been that we've not had a nasty centre-back for a while. We've got 2 centre-backs, Christopher Julian, who we signed from Toulouse for $7 million last summer, and we've got Christopher Ayer as well. Now, they're both good players. They're actually probably better than Duffy with the ball at their feet, but they seem to struggle with the kind of physical aspects of the game, and Julian especially has been bullied a few times while he's played against lesser teams in Scotland. So the feeling amongst the Celtic support is that Duffy's going to come in and he's going to sort out those strikers and he's going to be that physical presence. Is that the case, given what you've seen?
Yeah, I'd say very much so. He's very much your traditional no-nonsense defender, kick people, ask questions later. And in terms of players like that, he was one of the best players in the Premier League, and West Ham were sniffing around, West Brom were interested. So I think it's a real coup that obviously it helps that he's a boyhood Celtic fan, and Brighton have done a fair bit to facilitate the deal, because in reality it works out well for us as well, because say worst case scenario, at the end of the coming season we end up relegated, we'll sell Lewis Dunk, we'll sell Ben White, and then we've still got Duffy on our books to come in and be one of the best players in the Championship. If going the other way, if Potter loses his job this season, or he's poached by a bigger club because we're doing really, really well, we might then get a manager who's less bothered about a defensive player who's comfortable in possession, and then Duffy comes back in and he could regain his first team spot. So it's a good deal for all parties, really.
Yeah, definitely. What has the mood been with Brighton fans in general? I mean, you've kind of summed it up a little bit there. Are there sections of the support are maybe a little bit sad to see him move on?
Yeah, I think if you ask 90% of Brighton fans, we are sad to see him move on, but at the same time, we've got this stated aim. Our chairman said he wants to be a top 10 Premier League club, and sadly these days to get there you've got to play a certain brand of football, a certain style, and we sort of outgrown Duffy in a way, which is a shame, because he remains hugely popular, not just because of his footballing abilities, but also because he's such a character as well. I mean, in the 4 years we've had him, he's got into an ill-fated relationship with Katie Price.
Wow.
He had a one-night stand in Brighton with a woman who didn't know who he was, and he said to her, "I'm Shane Duffy, Google me." If you go, there's an Irish pub in in a middle of Brighton called Molly Malone's. If you went out there on a Saturday night, you're guaranteed to see him. If you went there on a Sunday lunchtime, he was always in there watching Celtic on the big screen. Like, he's such a character. In like the modern day, footballers are so cocooned in their own, they're all multi-millionaires, and he's sort of one of the few left that is actually a sort of the earth guy who you could quite happily go and have a pint with.
That's brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because we're struggling a little bit for characters at the moment. You probably saw our Champions League exit, a bit disappointing there, and the team's crying out for a leader. And obviously Shane Duffy captained Ireland last night, scored the late goal in the last minute to get them a draw. Is that the kind of thing he does quite often? Obviously we sign him to be a defender, but I assume that given his size and the way he headers the ball, he can score the odd goal now and again.
Yeah, well, actually in 2018-19, he was our second top scorer. not really saying much because he only got 5, and we're so reliant on Glenn Murray, who was also linked with Celtic back in January. He would have been a very good signing for you as well. But yeah, Murray got 15 in 2018-19. Duffy got 5, and if you've got someone who can deliver a ball, take a set piece, put it in the right areas, he's always going to cause problems. Not just because of how tall he is, but he's also, technically, if you can be technically good in the air, he's about as good as you'll get.
Yeah. Any deficiencies in his game? You've obviously touched on the fact that he's maybe not the best with the ball at his feet. He's maybe not the quickest either.
No, he's not particularly quick. He's not comfortable in possession, and he does have a bit of a. I know you said he's a character and stuff, but he does also have something of a hot-headed streak.
Right.
When we played Crystal Palace, our big rivals, within 20 minutes of our home game against them, he got sent off straight red for headbutting Patrick Van Aanholt in the chest. We went on to win the game 3-1 and it was, I think we were only 1 up when Duffy got sent off. So all's well that ends well, but yeah, that could have knocked his popularity down a few strides if it had all gone a bit pear-shaped from that point.
It'll be interesting to see how he gets on in a Glasgow derby this season. I'm looking forward to that.
I think an old firm with Shane Duffy involved is definitely going to be worth watching. Are
you going to be rooting for Celtic this season because of Duffy?
It's a hard one because we've also, Rangers have now
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Leon Balogun, so we've got players all over Scotland, but I think sort of they were more fringe defenders, and Duffy's been a huge part of our success. And we've also, like, one of my favourite Brighton players, even though he only played about 10 games for us, is Paddy McCourt. So there's another Celtic link there.